Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. All right, there we go. We are on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on Friday night. Chris will be joining us soon, as he always does on Friday, or as we usually do. We weren't here last Friday. Um, 9 p.m. on the second day of August 2024. And thank you all for clicking on. Let's get started here. And again, Chris will be with us coming up here shortly. In the meantime, let's start out. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to go back to the episode the Saturday night that Trump was shot at. Um, Tragic loss of life that night. And we're going to go back to that night. And we're going to go through the episode we did. And we are going to kind of see where we stand now as opposed to what we knew at that time. And is that we'll get Chris up here, I think. Chris. Hey Chris, how are you?
Pretty good, Bear. How about yourself? And how's everyone in the audience?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Doing good. Um, let me run through some things here real quick, news wise, and then we will get to last. It'll be 3 weeks tomorrow, actually, that we did the video the night. About 2 hours and 40 minutes after it happened, we were on the air talking about it. Um, Last night there were some political prisoners released in an exchange, um, something that had been worked on for a while. Biden looked good in a couple of parts of this. This is one of them. He took the American flag lapel pin that he was wearing and put it on former Marine Paul Whelan. Um, Optics matter, and he went and got on the plane. I know he got on the plane to thank the pilot and thank the agents, but it was a bad optical move. And then they got to keep him away from microphones. But he's Joe being Joe. Um, 4 hours ago, I got this. Iranian state TV says in the coming hours, the world will witness extraordinary scenes and very important developments. Chris, I'm going to run through all of this, and then we'll get your take on what you think is going to
Yeah, we'll
happen
see.
over in the Middle East. A little bit of
All
humor
right.
here.
So what I think is going to happen. So,
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen?
so I really don't think a whole lot of stuff is going to happen. Okay.
Okay.
He's talking a whole bunch of mess right now, right? So I have a tendency to believe that it's kind of be like, remember, was that a couple months ago when Iran shot all those
Yeah,
missiles
back in
at
April.
Israel?
Mm-hmm. It
And
was in April.
I think it's going to be another repeat performance of that. Yeah, yeah, it's going to be another repeat performance of that. And the only reason I'm saying, I think we've discussed this with the audience before, that Iran really wants the destabilization of the United States before they really take decisive action against Israel.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
so them sitting up here saying, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. They're not going to do anything until the United States is disabled, and the United States cannot help Israel anymore. Okay, and I kind of brought this out before, right? It's easier to fight if I have a gang of if I have a gang of brothers, and there's one brother that I really dislike, but there's another brother that I hate even more. Those two brothers might have more firepower or might more skills than me. Okay, so it's easier. Okay, if I disable one of the brothers, Now that brother's disabled, so he's pretty much useless. So
I
now I
get
can
you.
focus on the other
I
one.
don't know. You're cutting out on me. At least on me. I hope you're not to the audience, but I'm not catching all of it.
And get all the rest of my brothers and my. You there, Bear?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just not. I'm. You're cutting out. At least on in the studio. I'm hoping it's not cutting out to the people. But all right. Um, let me pose something, and then I'll get your response to it. Hang on a second. I'm getting a message here. Yes. Okay. You are cutting in and out. Okay. All right.
Oh, so I am
Uh,
cutting in and out.
yeah. You were. Now you're okay. I
All
got
right.
you.
So let,
Reiterate what.
all right.
Kind
So
of.
what I was saying, yeah. So what I was saying is okay. So I have a let's say this is just like maybe an just a fight, right? But I have a gang of people. And we're gonna use Iran, right? And their proxies, okay, as that gang.
That's the gang.
Okay.
Okay.
And then you have and then you have Is- right, right. And like it's like just like a gang of brothers, right? So like you got Iran, you got Russia, you have Yemen, you have all the proxy forces, you got Iraq, and let's just say those are like all brothers. Okay, then you have um, Iran or Israel, and you have the United States, which are the big, like they're two really big
The
opponents, right?
bullies.
So what Iran, right? They're bullies, right? So what Iran wants to do is wants to destable or beat up one of the bullies, which would be the United States, but they want to destabilize the United States from the inside, right? So they're beating up one brother, you know, and trying to make him inoperable, so he can no longer support the other brother, which is Israel. Does that make sense?
It does.
So
But
if
let,
I so if I so if I go ahead.
I just want to pose something else. What if, I mean, in our opinion, we're obviously the strongest brother. Uh, what if they view Israel as the strongest brother because they've got the better intel? They might have weapons that we don't. Um, I heard a guy say that our cyber stuff's good, but it's nothing compared to Israel. Could they be wanting to do the reverse and take Israel
No,
out
no,
so
no.
Israel's
Oh
not
no,
a threat to the Middle East at all
no,
before attacking America?
no, no, no. They want to get rid of us first because
Okay.
we're Israel's wingman. All right, so they're gonna gang up on the United States, and once the United States is out, then they're just gonna just jump on Israel. That's what the plan is,
Okay.
But Israel probably has a
All
counter
right.
saying,
Well,
"Oh yeah,
you you're cutting out
so
again.
Israel has a counter." Yeah, really, man. Yeah, well, Israel
Yeah.
has a plan, right? So
Uh huh.
so probably the counter is they would probably try to nuke um, Iran. That's most
That's
likely
what
what
I'm.
they're going
Yeah.
to do because that's
Yeah.
where they want to. So
You mentioned the gang, and you mentioned Iran and Russia and everybody, Yemen. North Korea jumped in 2 hours ago. Kim Jong Un released the statement: "We will always stand by Iran and will respond decisively to any threat to our ally." We warn the mercenary of global imperialism, namely Israel, not to make mistakes. So, um, not surprised that he's weighing in, not really considering that a major development. Russia is going to block Google, iOS, and Android. So basically, YouTube's not going to be available in Russia anymore. It wasn't when they first invaded Ukraine, but then it came back where you could get back into Russia with your YouTube. Um, they're not the only ones that is doing this. Turkey is also limiting their social media platform exposures. Is this a signal that we're going to see information lockdown from the BRICS countries to suppress information in their own countries as to what's going on? What do you think?
I think it's gonna be country dependent. I really do. I think it's just gonna be country dependent. I really do.
Also, Iranian television has stopped 5 hours ago. Actually, stopped all their normal broadcasts, and they're just playing military marches now on Iranian television. And they've also told their citizens to not take pictures of any military equipment being moved around the country. So um, the Houthi leader said, "quote Today will go down in history." That was 3 hours ago, and as of 12:30 a.m. Israeli time, the streets of Tel Aviv were empty. Um, Chris, the an attack, if coming, I would say would be directed towards Haifa and Tel Aviv, and not so much Israel. Would you, or not so much Jerusalem? Would you agree with that?
They could pretty much strike anywhere they want. I like, if they send those missiles like they did before, they can strike anywhere really.
Okay.
Because I don't know what Iron Dome's going to do. Who knows? Who knows what Hezbollah is going to do?
Yeah. That.
You see,
Yeah.
no one knows
Yeah.
what Hezbollah is going to do. No one knows what Hamas is going to do. You see,
Yeah.
so it's totally unpredictable on what's going to actually occur. And you have to remember, Iran controls
Um.
whatever the Houthi leadership has to say too. So a lot of stuff is psychological as well. Don't forget.
Right. Right. Um. I want to. Here we go. Venezuela. Maduro now is saying that he cannot produce the election results because Elon Musk hacked the government electoral system and skewed all the numbers against him. That is
That's ridiculous. He just doesn't want it. You
but
know that's
this is
ridiculous, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. But this is what the quote unquote strongman authoritarian regime does, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
he's just doing that to stay in power. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and like I said, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see. Blame
Um
Elon Musk for
okay.
that. That's funny.
Well, he challenged him to a fist fight too. Yesterday he challenged him on the day the election returns came out. He said Elon Musk was his arch enemy, and that Musk was going to bring his space rockets and attack Venezuela. Then the next day he said he wanted to challenge Elon Musk to a fist fight. Musk agreed. Um, and then today it's he can't show the election results because Musk hacked the system. Uh, Speaking of interfering in elections, yeah. Speaking of interfering in elections, the uh, DC Circuit Court has now ordered the case of the United States of America against Donald J. Trump for election interference, ordered it back to Judge Chunkman and in the um, DC federal court. So um, this means that hearings will start fairly soon. Um, she will probably put out legal documentation as far as when you can start submitting evidence, etc. Um, Maybe as early as tomorrow because she's known for working on the weekends. And this is going to become something because Trump has to be in court. Trump has to be present for all these hearings, and basically there's going to have to be a hearing about every um, incident or piece of information in order to determine if it is um, immune under the recent Supreme Court ruling. So this could tie Trump up all the way up until he goes to the New York court to get sentenced September 18th. And of course, it will create a spectacle in the Capitol. So if you're around there, make sure you got your camera ready. Um, KLM has canceled all its flights to and from Tel Aviv until October 26th. And the Russian Gilex Airlines, which specializes in arms transport, they've landed three separate planes, um, massive cargo planes from Moscow to Tehran. Um, it is rumored that these either carry hypersonic or nuclear weapons. Chris, you touched on it a little bit. How would uh, how would either one of those change? How would either hypersonic missiles or um, and especially nuclear, how would that change the entire world, let alone what goes on in the Middle East?
All right. So once all that stuff starts flying around, everyone starts throwing them. You know.
Right.
So that that's pretty much kind of like all bad. That's like the end of a lot of stuff. It really is. Once
Yeah.
you start throwing those around, just nothing good can come out of that. I'm telling you right now. So it's not just well they just threw they just fired a nuclear or you know rocket or threw a nuke. It's just like hey, yeah, they threw a nuke, but guess what? Everyone else is going to start throwing them too. So
Absolutely. Once that line is crossed,
like I said,
yeah, nothing good can come from it. I bring it up because
nope,
there's speculation that uh, Iran's nuclear facilities, where they're enriching uranium and trying to produce weapons, is so far underground that a conventional bunker buster, as they are called, couldn't reach it. And the only way Israel believes they can neutralize Iran's nuclear site is by nuking the site itself, so that you just no one can go anywhere near it.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
can see
that
that
that that,
happening.
that makes sense.
Yeah, nuke a
Yeah,
site,
I can too. I
you
really
know.
can.
And once that line is crossed, there hasn't been a nuclear weapon used since. I mean,
Exchange,
we're the only country that's ever done it, and we haven't done it for going on 70 years. Um, and you just brought up the
right?
key word. We're not talking about just using a nuke. We're talking about a nuclear exchange, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Exactly.
nothing good can come of that. Um, they're calling
Nope.
on the American Bar Association has put a task force together, and they're trying to get lawyers together across the country to do more to help protect democracy ahead of the 2024 election, warning the nation faces a serious threat, end quote, rising authoritarianism, end quote. Um, the American Bar Association usually doesn't do things like this, Chris. This is
Yeah,
this is a sign that
I,
people are taking serious that our democracy might be at threat. All right,
yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah,
You
yeah. Just,
mentioned
I mean, go Barry.
okay. You had mentioned the idea of the gang, you know, and this
Uh-huh.
is the gang within the neighborhood: Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon,
Yeah,
Gaza,
and
and Yemen. Uh, Go ahead.
uh-huh. Go ahead.
Okay. They also include Judea and Samaria. Um, Samaria, that is basically the area of the West Bank. Judea, that is the area around Jerusalem. Biblically, these were areas, you know, in the uh, BC area, BC era. Um, so they are projecting that that Israel is going to get hit from Gaza. It's going to get hit from within, from Jerusalem and the West Bank. Going to get hit from Lebanon, from Syria, from Iraq, from Yemen, and from Iran. And these numbers, by the way, these numbers are population estimates. It's estimated that Iran has about 80, 89 million, almost 90 million people in it. Iraq, 44 million, etc. So I want to move over to this map real quick and show a couple of things. Number one, Egypt and Jordan. I don't want to move. Here we go. Um, Egypt and Jordan have both said that they will shoot down anything that comes into their airspace. Um, they said the
Yeah,
same things. They said the same things back in April, but Iran has said that any Muslim nation that interferes with what they're planning to do will be considered an enemy and will be attacked. They've said if the United States gets involved, all of our bases um, in the area become um, targets of attack. And it's a lot of saber rattling if that's all it is, you know?
maybe it is just saber rattling. I mean, Barry. A lot of times, I try to analyze it as much as possible, but
Uh huh.
sometimes I just come up with just blanks. I really do.
Yeah. Things sometimes things just don't add up. They don't make sense. They don't, um,
Right.
you're always talking about anomalies to the baseline, and sometimes there are just so many anomalies. It's just like, what is really going on here? Um,
Yeah. Exactly.
okay. Last night, Biden evidently had a difficult call with Prime Minister Prime Minister Netanyahu, during which he reportedly told Netanyahu needs to stop his escalation of tensions in the region and move towards an immediate ceasefire and hostage exchange. Um, that is that is the last thing Netanyahu wants to do is stop the aggression in Gaza, um, because if he loses power, he goes to prison. Is that not correct?
That's true. Well, they have to indict. I mean, I think they indicted him already, right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember. I'm
yeah,
trying to recall.
yeah.
I think they indicted him. So,
So
um,
one thing we got to keep in
yeah,
mind is
they
Israel. Go ahead.
that they still has to go to trial. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing.
Okay. Have you ever seen Sarah Cooper? Sarah Cooper became famous
Sarah,
with
no.
her. Okay. All right. Um, little bit of a comedy break here before. Um, she she makes fun of Donald Trump.
Mhm.
There we go, Chris.
All right.
I
Well,
haven't talked
that
about
doesn't
it.
sound like too good.
That was Trump's speech from the other night. That was I mean, all she did
Yeah,
was lip
that
read
doesn't
what
sound
he
too
actually
good.
said.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like a kind of an authoritarian thing that the American Bar Association might want to get attorneys organized against. Um, Egypt and Jordan stated they
Yeah.
will intercept any missiles or drones, and the IDF, Israeli Defense Force leadership, is considering preemptive strike options against Iran. Um, United States has moved a bunch of assets into the area, including the aircraft carrier Teddy Roosevelt, and it's it's I don't know, it sure seems like, and maybe all the you know maybe the United States moving everything in, maybe it'll make them think twice, but it sure seems like Iran's just ready this time to go. Um, and you mentioned us. You mentioned that it might be contingent upon the United States um, being weakened. Maybe they know. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe something's coming that they're going to presume we're going to be weak and not be able to help Israel out, and Israel's going to get destroyed. Um, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Of course, we'll be monitoring it as as things unfold. All right. Um, 3 weeks ago yesterday, we were doing an episode because somebody took a shot at Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, and I'm just going to kind of play the episode here, and we'll talk about uh, things that we know now that we didn't know then, and if we were right about anything then. On tonight, but circumstances definitely warrant. In case you have not heard, um, there was a shooting at the Trump rally today. That shooting sadly left one of the attendees dead, with another one injured, and it left Donald Trump with a minor injury. And let's jump right in. As I said, I've got some stuff you probably aren't going to see maybe anywhere else unless you just happen to have a similar timeline to mine and some of the same sources. Um, let's begin with this. This is a look at the. This is an aerial view of where the event happened out at this farm rural area. Trump was speaking right here, where the cursor is, where it says Trump, the shooter, back here at the red pinpoint, and approximately 400 feet away.
Okay.
Temporary structures built around here as a stage area. Crap. Hang on. Somebody's texting me. All right. I'll buzz through this stream of the Republican extreme MAGA party. The extreme. Okay. Um, Chris, the first part of this,
Yep.
the first thing that came to my head was that um, the MAGA, the extreme part of the extreme branch of the MAGA party, um,
Uh-huh.
might have been trying to get rid of Trump because he's not extreme enough for them. And
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you heard, but Kyle Rittenhouse, um, the kid that um, that killed the people up in Wisconsin during the George Floyd summer, um, he came out last night and said he was going to write in Ron Paul's name for president and recommended all of the other gun owners do that because Trump wasn't extreme enough on the Second Amendment for him. Um, the
Oh,
Trumpers,
geez.
the Trumpers came after him. He has since posted that he was wrong and he was ill informed, and that he completely supports Donald Trump and recommends everybody else do it too. Um, the Democrats don't want Donald Trump dead. They want to beat him and see him in prison. Who who do you think the most likely agents acting behind this kid, this 20-year-old, if there were any, who now 3 weeks down the road, who would you say most likely would be behind such an effort to get rid of Trump?
Hmm. Hang on, Bear. Let me
Okay.
repeat that question. Get rid of
Yeah.
Trump?
Yeah. If there was the first thing that went through my head was MAGA, you know, uh, Flynn and Ivan Raiklin and Bannon and the people that don't think Trump is um, don't think Trump's radical enough, and plus they're really honked off at JD Vance being the vice presidential candidate, um, which I want to touch on coming up too. But let's say it's not his own people. Um, I don't think it would be the Democrats. I don't think the Biden administration wants Trump dead. I think they want to beat him in the election and put him in prison. Um, if it were
Uh-huh.
an outside organization that was funding and grooming this kid to do the shooter, the kid that was on the roof, um, who do you think it might be? Any ideas?
Oh boy. Uh, there's so many, Barry. There's so many. You said it
Yeah,
wasn't the Democratic Party. You said the Democratic Party's like, nah, we can beat Trump.
yeah.
I mean, that I really can't. I can't even call Barry. You know, whoever set it up. Let me say this: whoever set it up didn't set it up right. I'm gonna tell you that much, right?
Okay.
Um, because they're probably because they're probably sitting there like, damn, we screwed it up. Now what are we gonna do? You know. Um,
Yeah, and you mentioned
but
if it was
it's really
somebody coming after him, they'll come after him again.
yeah, of course, and that's a
Go
given
ahead.
because they failed. Right? They're gonna come after because they failed, right? I mean, that just makes sense.
Right.
So I don't, you know, for the life of me, I can't really figure out who did that, or I know what the motive would be, but I can't figure out who did it. That's the thing. You see, I just don't know.
What do you
At
think?
first, I thought it was like,
My
go ahead.
my number one my number one motive would be to try to send the United States into chaos and civil war.
Okay, right now, who would be behind that though? Who's behind that? Now, if you want to go that angle, right? We could talk about Iran, okay?
Exactly.
But at the same time, if we hit if they did that, we're going to war with Iran. You know that, right?
Hmm.
So that's something that Israel would want, but that's something that Israel would want too. You see?
Yeah,
You
I
see where
do.
I'm going with this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So so if Iran takes out um Donald Trump, the United States retaliates against Iran, who's that benefit? And who's been trying to go to war with Iran?
Israel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah. All right.
So and
Okay.
then
Go
and
ahead.
then and no, I'm not these are just different scenarios, possibilities, okay?
Yeah, that's all we're
So
talking.
and then you
Yeah.
have right. So and then you have people within, let's say, maybe our government that don't like him and want to get rid of him. Might be someone in the Republican Party, right? And it's possible. We don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be someone in the Republican Party. Okay, hey, this dude's bad news for us. Time to cut ties, right? Get rid of him, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, if that was a legitimate hit, and even though I think I don't know if it was a legitimate hit or not because there's just no way like you could miss someone that from that far. Just you just and then let's say like they have to be the worst shooters ever. And if you have trained snipers or DDMs, designated defensive marksmen, like and you can't hit your target, give them or at least give them body shots from that distance. I'm like, bro, you, your operation failed miserably, miserably. You see what I'm saying?
It seems like
Miserably.
it seems like everything was set up for it to be successful as far as miscommunications
Yeah,
between branches of law enforcement and not having a drone up, um, not clearing the area or surrounding the building so nobody could get up on it. It just seems like there was so much that it's almost like it was all intentionally done wrong, and how could it fail? But it did.
but but you know what, Barry, we were talking about um, Butler County emergency response
Hmm.
unit team. But I call it the clown show, and my one of my buddies he's retired from Chicago PD. He was a gang unit SWAT team member type guy, and he and I were talking about it, and we're like this. I'm like, you really didn't even have to put people on the roof, right? If that building, that structure, let's say it's got four corners on it, all you really had to do is put one or two people on opposing corners. So that way you still have 360-degree security on the building. So that way you can see people coming from all directions. So you don't have to be on the roof. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because you have to be on the ground to get to the roof. So if I have people on the ground, they can see exactly what's going on. You see?
Yeah.
So and the whole thing about it is I really I'm not gonna badmouth that Butler County tag team, but I am gonna badmouth them because there's just certain things that and you're a TAC unit, a tactical team, that you're really supposed to know. Okay. And that's why I keep telling people, well, this is why I've seen. That's why I just don't think like these departments from, you know, wherever they're from, Butler County, Pennsylvania. I can't take them serious. I can't take them serious because like that's a complete failure. And granted, maybe Secret Service should have shown them during the during the advanced party team. Should have like sat down and even showed them, hey, look, this is how we want this building secured. Okay,
But the Secret
because
Service didn't even
like I
talk to
said,
him. I
those
mean,
guys don't really do this work.
not only didn't they
They just
show him, they
don't
didn't
do it.
talk to him. How much of it
Right.
is,
So I mean, they just
Chris, how much of it is feds or pricks that, if you're a Secret Service, or if you're a FBI, or if you're um, DHS, that you're so much better than everybody else in law enforcement, and they
actually they're not. Actually, they're not. They're not.
I know, but
They're not.
but
I
they
can tell
act
you that
like that.
firsthand. They're not.
They don't act like that.
Yeah, they some do, and then we just like they're not. I'm not gonna badmouth them, but like a
Mhm.
lot of them aren't very street smart. They're just not. Okay, I mean yeah, they're book smart, but a lot of them aren't really street smart. They don't like in the bureau. A lot of those guys were never like street cops before. They're like attorneys or accountants, and got people like that. And then you give them a gun and badge, and they just don't have that street knowledge. You see, as
Mhm.
opposed to like my buddy and myself and like guys out of Philly, and that had that street knowledge. Okay, we'd be like, hey, look, this is what you guys need to do here. Okay, um, but and I'm just saying that because I've dealt with them, on a certain level. But the
Mhm.
whole thing about it is when you're dealing with like podunk police department, sheriff's department, you really kind of have to hold their hand and walk them through certain things, because if not, this is the end result. It really is. And I'm kind of like that should like this should never ever happen ever ever, you know. But it did, and now people are trying to pick up the pieces. Everyone's saying yeah, it's Secret Service fault, and true it is, but I really blame a lot of that on Butler County SWAT team. I really do. I really do. Because there's no way in the world you're going to tell me a TAC team doesn't know, all right, look, we're going to put a person on catty corner from each other, right? So we have
Mhm.
360-degree uh, security on a building. Like, that's just, like, that's basic stuff,
Right.
at least for me, right? And I mean, that's just
Yeah,
and
basically,
I'm a
what
tack
you're
dude,
saying is
but
you got a you got a rectangular building. You put somebody at corner A and corner C, and you leave corner B and D open so that because A and C will be able to see the corners B.
right, you can cover all
Right,
four. You
right,
see,
right.
you got everything covered.
Chris,
So like
oh,
you're trying to
go
tell
ahead.
me, so
Go
you're
ahead.
trying to tell me that you don't know that, like what?
Yeah.
So I'm just and then I was listening to one of the tac dudes, one of the SWAT guys say, yeah, we had him, and then we lost sight of him. I'm just like, did you give a description of him? What he was wearing? Did you put on a lookout? And the last known travel direction. Did you do that? Just basic stuff, right? In law
that
enforcement, just
that
basic
wasn't
stuff in
done.
police work. But here's the thing: like the radio transmissions would confirm or deny if that stuff was done or not. Okay, so every time you key your mic um, on a police radio, guess what? Your computer aided dispatch number comes up and your name pops up. All right, so specifically your cat ID will pop up, and that's your identifier, specifically who you are. You see, and of course, I'm sure the FBI has already pulled all that stuff, right, to see what really occurred.
And they
They
take
they
all
would
of
have
the
had to.
they take those recordings and put it all together and create a timeline of who knew what when, um, kind of thing.
Yep, yep. So and then I don't know if I talked to your pilots about like joint operation command centers. It's called a jock, right?
Okay.
So in that jock, you would have like the head like Secret Service leadership, you would have state police leadership, and you would have Butler County SWAT team leadership, right? In that jock. So if someone from like Butler County SWAT team were to radio up, it would everyone can hear it on Butler County Freak, but then also in that jock. So who's ever monitoring that jock can hear all those transmissions. So like I'm in the jock, somebody radios up, and I'm in the leadership for Butler County SWAT, and I get a message. Oh yeah, he's saying there's X, Y, and Z. Blah 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 blah. Well, if that's my area of responsibility, all I'm gonna do is be like, hey, send one of our guys over to conduct, an we call it investigatory stop of this individual, find out who he is, what he's doing, and maybe we need to detain him. You see, just
Hmm.
just
Basic
just basic
police.
police work 101. That's basic police work 101. Okay, and they're saying, well, we didn't have comms with Secret Service or state police. Well, if you have a jock, everyone can hear each other's transmissions. I'm
Okay,
let you know
so
that right now
what you're talking
because
about is the jock,
because during presidential
the command headquarters. You'll
because
have
like during presidential inaugurations and right, so it's a command center. So like in DC, we have the SOC. It's called a synchronized operation command center. And then like for like big like um stuff that's going on where we have multiple agencies, there's a JOC, Joint
like an
Operations Command Center. This is where you have all those eight. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. You
So that
probably got
way, if you get transmission,
fire and first aid reps. You got federal agencies. You got uh, DC police. You got Capitol Police. You got everybody's in there so that if one group radios something in that doesn't go out to the whole group, you can transmit it to the leader of the other groups, and there shouldn't be no
right? I mean,
lack of
because
communication,
you're
right?
all right. You're all in the same room. Right, right. So you're all in the same room, and there's only like maybe three or four different agencies there. You're trying to tell me that, oh, we didn't have comms for them. I want to know, hey, where was the jock located? Where was your command center located? Is it either going to be static or mobile? Okay, you're going to be assigned a structure. You're going to be assigned a vehicle. That's how it works. Okay, that's how it works. And for them, they're saying, well, we didn't have any comms with, this group, or they say, yeah, we switch out radios. I'm like, dude, you got a jock. What are you talking about? You
But
see,
evidently they didn't.
that's the bullshit I'm talking about with these things.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know what they had. See, here's the thing: you'll never know what they had because they're not saying.
Yeah. And they're waiting for something bigger to come along that's going to take all the focus away from this, which it will. Um,
Right.
I heard the acting director of the Secret Service today say that you cannot protect anyone, any presidential candidate or public speaker in a state that's open carry. What do you think about that?
What did he say?
He said that Secret Service cannot,
What did he say?
he said Secret Service or law enforcement will not be able to protect um, any candidate or public speaker in a right to carry state because everybody's got a gun and there's no way of isolating. Um,
Yeah. Well. That's some BS because um, all they have to do, even though it's an open carry state, if there's a venue and Secret Service is hosting it, and he'd be like, they can turn you away, or be like, no weapons are permitted here at this venue. Period.
yeah, I
They
mean,
can do that.
I was kind of shocked that he made that statement. And then I thought about it. Well, I guess that's probably true. They can't guarantee they're going to get every gun.
No, 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 no. But they can, they go. You have to pass through a magnetometer, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
They warned you too. So like, what are you talking? Like, these people are so full of shit. I swear.
Okay. I want to play this real quick, Chris. Once it loads up from again 3 weeks ago. Um,
Here we
BBC
go.
or hear this anywhere else on our media. It's about 4 minutes long, and it's really very interesting. And of course, it's going to skip, right?
And we all decided, hey, when we hear Trump up there, we're going to walk up through the field, stand by the trees up there under the shade. And seven, I'm speaking, I'm estimating here. I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, and we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle. We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around him. We're right on the roof with a rifle, and the police were like, "Oh, what?" Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, "Hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling." And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they, 2 or 3 minutes? Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots rang out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%. 100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You were up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling police and the
we were telling the police, we were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
Binocular.
Could they see him?
Probably see, but why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see? I mean, obviously, everyone when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy.
Absolutely, 100%. Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
It's incredibly shocking.
The guy was on the roof right there. You can see the white roof. Right there.
Did you get a look at him? Could you?
No.
Okay, Chris, a lot of the things this guy was talking about are things we've discussed and things we still don't have answers to coming up on 3 weeks.
And we're not going to have answers to because they're going to keep the confusion going. So just get used to it. That's what they do.
I think you're right. All right. I want to play this again here real quick. What we talked about as far as our reactions to Trump getting shot. I think honestly, Chris, this guy got my cursor on right here. This is the guy that they say is John F. Kennedy Jr. And if you watch a couple of these videos, his behavior is incredibly different as things go down to everybody else around him. But I don't have that queued up at the moment.
So from the
go ahead. Oh, that's you talking back then.
counter sniper standpoint, they're like, okay, well, if I'm going to be here, this is where we're going to cover. You see?
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
So they were able to neutralize him quickly, but how was he able to get up there with such a limited number of buildings? Why didn't they have somebody up on each building?
Okay, so once again, that's the counter sniper. Oh yeah. Like,
Do you want to say something, Chris?
Yeah, I kind of already answered that earlier about having those guys on the ground.
Right. Yeah,
So
this is just this is just showing. This is kind of showing what we talked about again 3 weeks ago. How it is, how almost everything that we talked about has kind of played out, including what you were talking about not having. You don't have to have every single building. You don't have to have somebody on the roof of every single building if you deploy the assets you do have correctly.
Yep, that's correct.
All right. So we're coming up on the hour mark here. Let me get off of this and we'll get back to. All right, here we go. So, what do you think now? Do you feel any different now than you did 3 weeks ago? Do you think somebody was trying to kill him and they're just horrible at it, or that it was a setup and he was
I think it's a combination. I really do. I think they're trying to kill him, and like I can't believe the level of incompetence. That's what I just have a difficult time of believing. All right, you got a guy up on a roof, in plain sight, and he's shooting at the president, bro. Like snipers, like real snipers, if they're taking shots at somebody, you don't even see them.
Talk
You
about
just don't see them.
talk
They're,
about that for a
they're
second, because you and I had a conversation off air about um, how snipers can turn wherever they may be, they can turn that into a shooter's nest.
right. I mean, it's just snipers use hides when when they do stuff like so you can't be seen. You see what I'm saying? And this dude's you're gonna shoot from the open. I'm like, all right, well that's not a real sniper or even a DDM, designated defensive marksman, but you're just not going because I'm experienced in this line of work. I kind of know how things are done. You see,
Hmm.
so if you tell me that you got a guy on top of a roof that's in plain sight in front of everybody, 140, 130 something yards away, and he's taking shots and can't hit somebody, I'm just like, this is a problem. This is a real problem because, and
However,
like he's out in the open.
if he was not supposed to shoot Trump, just shoot random people in the crowd to create a frenzy, um, and Trump accidentally got hit, um, then it would have been a successful mission.
Yeah, well, I think he was trying to hit Trump. He just can't shoot.
Okay.
I just
That-
couldn't shoot.
yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm going to hop over here to the chat real quick. Um, hello to Peace, Love, and Sunshine Not Going Away. G. Smith, Pat Tolliver. Thank you for being here. True. Hello. Shalom. And anybody has any questions, pop them in there now, and we'll take a couple of minutes and um, answer anything that you might have. Um, what's your opinion, Chris, on um, the wound to his ear?
Say, say that again.
What's your opinion on the wound to Trump's ear? I mean,
Hmm.
if you see the
Um,
close up, there is a little tiny wound there. Um, and you know more about ammunition and firearms and things along those lines much more than I do. Is it conceivable
well,
that a bullet just grazed him enough to just like take off, like make a razor cut?
um, if it ricocheted, right? If it's a ricocheting round, right? If it hit something and the debris from whatever it hit flew back and smacked the president or the former president in the head or the ear, but also it could be the bullet too. So like a 5.56 round or 223 round is really a 22 round. Does your audience know that?
No.
Um, that it's really okay. It's a 22 round, so it's a really
The
small round.
Okay,
It's not a
you're talking about the actual projectile, because it comes in a big cartridge, but the
the
actual
projectile itself. Right, the
is like a
projectile itself
20
is not that big.
22 long rifle.
It's really a 22. Right, but yeah, 5.56 rounds or 223. They're really 22 rounds.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Well, nobody has any questions for us, at least not in the chat at the moment. So, um, anything you want to add or um, throw out
No,
there?
no, no, no.
You okay?
I
I
think
made
we
it.
had a pretty good discussion today.
Yeah, I made a prediction last Thursday night, I think it was, that by tonight, Trump would be um, getting rid of J.D. Vance as his vice president
Uh-huh.
candidate. Um, I I don't think he can get rid of J.D. Vance. Um, J.D. Vance knows too much, and if you take J.D. Vance off the ticket, you create an enemy that knows a lot about you. So um, they can't do that. Trump can't do that. He can't afford to do that unless they unless they were to unalive J.D. Vance, um, which happens all the time in politics. It's just we don't always know about it. So um, I hope you're right in what is coming from the Middle East. I hope it's not as um, massive as it's being projected to be by everybody, including the United States. The amount of equipment we're moving in. We brought a B-2 stealth bomber into Qatar, complete with nuclear bombs on it earlier today, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, we're projecting strength. We've got the aircraft carrier, the Teddy Roosevelt is in the Strait of Hormuz. Is that how it's said? And off the coast of Iran. And seems like everybody's lined up just waiting for Ayatollah Khomeini to say it's time to go and for Iran to go. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I hope it is
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
as when
Yeah.
it does happen. I hope it's not. I hope it's not as massive as it's being portrayed, and that things
Yeah.
stay contained. Because if they don't stay contained, things can get really bad really fast.
Very fast, very fast. But I told you the end state is to nuke Iran. It really is. So um, I think once
Before
the
Iran
United
nukes
States is out of
Israel.
the picture, right? So that's the big picture of what the end state is here. Don't
All
think
right.
it's not. So
All right. Uh, what about Venezuela? Um, do we intervene in Venezuela, or is that something we can't afford to get involved with right now?
you can't listen, listen. Venezuela has got China, all those BRICS countries backing it right now. Do you really think we're going to go after it? Hmm?
No, no.
Come
I,
on, man.
I
I
and I
mean, I,
think
I know you're asking.
yeah,
You're asking legitimate questions, but it's for the audience too. But realistically, like we have too much stuff going on over everywhere else. You see, and we can't really mess with everyone over the oil, even though we'd like to have it. But realistically, I don't think it's.
yeah.
I just don't
I don't
think.
know if I don't know if I mentioned it on here or not, but Venezuela has a bigger oil supply underneath it than Saudi Arabia does.
Yeah.
So
So of
yeah.
course we want it, but how are we going to get it? But the thing is, how are we going to get it? See?
Um, the other night, Chris, before we get off here, the other night I kind of mentioned that I had some information, and I don't know how legitimate it really is, but information about Canada and Australia, and that in order to we've talked on here before about um, getting the United States, if you want to bring the United States down from a military standpoint, you get the United States involved in multi-front confrontations globally. Um, and what was said, the people in Canada and people in Australia need to pay attention. And what was said was that Russia is going to make a move on Alaska and Canada, and China is going to make a move on Australia in order to get us so stretched out that we can't defend one of the places, let alone everything that we would have to do. Um, that is a kind of a massive. It's like playing a game of Risk, the board game where you try to conquer the world. If if China and Russia are uh, on a path to bring us down, even if Canada and um, Australia weren't in play, if we get involved in Ukraine and we get involved in the Middle East in a way that's um, going to take our focus away, it's going to put us in a vulnerable position being in a two front confrontation. Um, that's how I look at it politically. Looking at it from the military asset wise, would you agree with that, or are we strong enough that we can do both the Middle East and Eastern Europe and maybe one other confrontation?
I listen. The Middle East really has precedence right now. You know, so that's pretty much where I think things are going to be going. Everything's
Okay.
going to be to the Middle East. I'm telling you that
All
right
right.
now.
All right. We'll be
So
watching. Um,
for sure,
man, yeah, brother, I appreciate you coming on here all the time, giving us your expertise and
for sure.
talking experiences. And we will do it next Friday night, if not before.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks for coming on, Chris. All right. All right, there we go. All right, and thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for clicking on. Always appreciated. Again, thanks to those in the chat. Peace, love, and sunshine not going away. G. Smith, True, Pat Tolliver, anybody else I might have missed. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the mods as always. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. They take care of the chat when we get involved in the conversations. And it could be a busy weekend. Hopefully not. Like to have a peaceful weekend, but if things do kick off, we will be on here talking about it and keeping you up to date, letting you know what's going on. Um, Again, hopefully things are quiet. No pick yet for Vice President Kamala Harris. Um, as far as her vice presidential candidate will be, it's down to five guys, basically five white guys. And if that's announced, we'll get that out there too and talk about it. Otherwise, the plan is to be on maybe Sunday night, uh, but to be on Monday night, and and hopefully things remain peaceful and calm between now and then, and don't have to come back on and talk about, because if we do come back on, it's we're going to be talking about probably some really horrible, nasty things, and that's because it's a dark world. And since it's a dark world, um, we all need to try to be a light, try to be a positive, even if it's just for those directly involved with us each and every day. Say something nice, let people know you care about them, and I care about all you. Love y'all. Love y'all like chocolate chip cookies. I mean that sincerely. God bless each and every one of you that so wish to take those blessings. And may God have mercy on the United States of America. Thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.